Hello and welcome back to the channel. Well, it wouldn't be Black History Month if America didn't show its true colors every single time. So we start off Black History Month with what? Bomb threats against multiple historically black colleges and universities. And yet people keep on trying to tell us and convince us. They keep gaslighting us, trying to make us believe that it's all in our heads, that there's no racial bias in America, that it's all in our heads. Now, of course, they haven't identified anyone who has sent in these bomb threats. They were all around the country, so it could be several people. It can be organizations for all we know. Another thing that came to mind for me, and I'm going to say this and then I'm going to share the report with you. But sometimes I feel like things are staged, okay? And, the command to do so comes from high up to create or keep racial tension staged. And they can have a whole black face behind it that's being paid handsomely to do this, just to stir things up, so then they can pull the curtain back over him and say, see, it wasn't even a white person, it was a black person or black people. And now I'm not saying that this is the case. I'm just telling you how the shenanigans play out in this country and in the world. You will have those kind of shenanigans where they'll pull the curtain back and say it wasn't who you thought it was. So anyway, take a listen at this report and I will be right back.
For the second day in a row, several historically black colleges and universities received bomb threats Tuesday, resulting in shelters in place and canceled classes as authorities swept campuses looking for devices. No explosions have been reported. Howard University in Washington, D.C. was threatened on both days. It declared an all-clear Tuesday as it did Monday. Other schools getting threats Tuesday included Edward Waters University in Jacksonville, Florida, Kentucky State University, Fort Valley State in Georgia, Xavier University in Louisiana, Spelman College in Atlanta and Morgan State in Baltimore. In addition to Howard on Monday, schools receiving threats included Southern University and A&M College in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach, Florida, Albany State University in Georgia, Bowie State University in Maryland and Delaware State University. The FBI and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives are investigating. The FBI is aware of the series of bomb threats around the country, and we are working with our law enforcement partners to address any potential threats, the FBI said in a statement to CBS News. As always, we would like to remind members of the public that if they observe anything suspicious to report it to law enforcement immediately. On Tuesday, Republic. Benny G. Thompson, chairman of the Committee on Homeland Security, announced he has contacted the FBI and DHS to help get HBCUs and their leaders the answers they deserve. It is not lost on me that these threats are targeting African American educational institutions at a time when we are observing Black History Month, Thompson said Tuesday. Moreover, this rash of threats against HBCUs put further strain on campuses and communities that were already under great stress as they try to operate safely during the pandemic. These bomb threats against HBCUs deserve a full investigation, particularly given the dynamic terrorism threat landscape.
Okay, as the report states, there have been several bomb threats at multiple historically black colleges and universities around the country. They can be coming from a number of different directions as well. But as I stated before too, this is very, very typical of the environment here in America. There is a major disdain for so-called black people. But that part they want to downplay. They want to downplay the fact that this country and the world hates black people, okay? And highlight all of the woes of everyone else but so-called black people. These things are not in our heads. I continue to speak on these issues because they continue to arise. there is a direct connection between the past and the present, right? Because contrary to popular belief, the system does not just target criminals. The system also targets black people who are trying to do better for themselves. And a good example is right here. These are colleges, right? Universities. These are people who are trying to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, right? Not every person who has been a victim in this country has been a criminal, okay? As I mentioned before, the four girls in the church that white men bombed because they wanted to, because of that disdain and that hatred. So we are not just trying to connect to the past to justify anything that's happening. I'm sorry, we're not just trying to connect to the past to make an excuse for things that are happening now. Okay. And let me clarify why I'm saying that to the viewer who sent me a message about this, saying that that's what some black people do. I do see and understand that there are some black people who use certain things as an excuse. I talk about that myself. There are some of our people who use the past as an excuse to do nothing. I speak on that. But you can't make it seem like that's the overall thing that is happening. The overall thing that is happening is a lot of different scenarios going on. You do have excuse makers, people who use the past to justify what they're doing today. You do have that. But for the most part, the racial injustices is a very targeted thing and has been for a very long time. Not everyone is using excuses. Some people really do have valid things. I've been a victim many times of racial incidents, and I've spoken of many of these incidents on my channel. I talked about the mortgage incident, how the woman painted a whole big lie because she didn't want to see our family refinance out of a construction loan. So she painted a whole big lie in which the bank that we banked with was able to debunk that lie with all of our canceled checks. I'm sorry, not our canceled checks. Yes, our canceled checks. But the bank was able to show all of that, despite the fact that this woman gave a handwritten statement to make it seem like all of our payments were late. But the bank was able to provide canceled checks to prove otherwise. But we shouldn't have had to go through that step. But it was because of that hatred and that racism in that woman's heart that we had to go through all of these extra steps. Not to mention the numerous times I've been called the N-word. Now, for people who like to say, well, these are all scattered incidents, there's millions of these scattered incidents. So it's not just scattered incidents. There is a mindset that exists. That's why there were whole laws that made it illegal for black people to learn to read, because it is systematic. That is the truth that cannot be denied. And there was a stiff penalty if you did get caught reading. It could have meant your life or a major beating, depending on who your slave master was. So here we are, America staying true to how it has felt about so-called black people with these bomb threats. I could go on and on. Many others can go on and on about the things that we have experienced racially in this country, only because we were black. Nothing to do with anything else. I've talked about times where I've tried to get jobs. One job, the only qualification was that you type a certain amount of words per hour. And because it was just a little basic secretary job, right? And you had to type so many words per minute. So many words per minute, not hour. And I passed the test with flying colors. I flew through the screen, way past the number the woman wanted. But the look on her face told me she was not calling me back. First of all, the look on her face when I showed up was already one of, And then the look on her face when I passed the test and I walked out the door was one of, I will not be calling you back. I don't care how fast your fingers typed. So these things are not all in our heads, people. It's very real what happens in this country. This is why you get bomb threats from multiple or against multiple black colleges and universities, because there is a mindset that exists. One thing I'm going to say too before I go, is that I believe that sometimes these things are staged. Like I said before, I do believe that there are forces at work that want to keep this racial tension to a boiling point. They want to do that. And this is why you have this stuff that continues to be thrust into the news, into the media. Yep. And we address it because it's out there. And we also address it because these are things that we experience personally or have experienced over the years. And it hasn't died down. People want us to stop talking about it while the same time not telling people who are doing these things to stop doing it. Where is the appeal to tell people to stop terrorizing us? If we're walking down a country road in Belleville, Michigan, where is the appeal to tell these two young men, why would you try to use your pickup truck to hit these two people? And what's the trip is that's the same road where the neighbor I was telling you all about. That's the same road where two incidents where the neighbor up the road sent her dogs out on us. I was pregnant at that time too. And the neighbor across the street where he threatened to kill our cat. But guess what? His dog, he had a dog named Jake. It was an old lab. His dog used to come over to our house all of the time. Never once did I feel the need to hurt that dog. As a matter of fact, I love the dog because I love animals. And so I used to say, hey, Jake, you coming to see me today? Now, keep in mind, he wanted to kill our cat and he threatened to shoot the cat if he caught the cat on his property again. But when his dog, Jake, kept coming to our house, he would come across that country road, come up that long driveway of theirs, then come across the road. And if I'm out there in the yard working, the dog would hang with me, sit by my feet, lay by my feet, and just hang out there for hours while his master was at work all day. I didn't have any nasty feelings towards that dog because of what he tried to do to our cat and what he threatened to do. See, that's the difference. When you have a heart that is a bitter, hateful heart, you will even want to kill the cats, someone's cat, because they're black. But see, we didn't reciprocate that when his dog was always on our land, because we don't have that kind of heart. I just wanted to share that bit of information for those who just don't understand that we could literally write books on the things that we have experienced at the hands of so-called white people. Now I'm going to throw this one in there for you too, just so you know and understand that I know that enemies come in black and white, because I could also write a book on things that have happened at the hands of so-called black people, because I choose to be fair, because that is the only way. I'm not going to exonerate one and allow the other to just walk free. It is what it is, whether you're black or white. I'm done with this. In the comment section below, remember to keep it tight and keep it right, but until next time. We hope you liked today's topic. Please leave your comments below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, share it like this video, and with that, we're out. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.